Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and we're going to talk about the story you tell as a dungeon master, and what your rights are as a creator, and where your rights end as a creator, and what is happening with your story, and with your story, with the story that the players are telling, and with the story that the dice are telling, and all of those are merging into one blended story. What are your rights as a dungeon master, and where do your rights end? And you don't have any rights as a dungeon master, and you really are not in a position where you should be, where you are saying what happens with your work. Because I think this is a very really interesting topic, and I think there's a lot of confusion on this right now, and a lot of creators, artistic creators in the world are very confused as to what their rights are as a creator and where those rights end. And we are in the same boat, but with some unique aspects because we're telling a shared story, right? And actually, it's really interesting as far as what the story that a tabletop role-playing game dungeon master is really telling. I think there's a ton of complexity here, and I'm actually going to try to keep this very targeted to just the first layer of storytelling within Dungeons & Dragons. So let's get into this. All right, so first and foremost, there's a major lesson that we need to learn specifically from the Wachowskis. Okay, so the Wachowskis created the Matrix series, and it has 4 movies in it. A lot of people wish it only had 2. Right? Most people agree. The first Matrix came out in 1991. And then that was The Matrix, and then there was Matrix Reloaded in 2003, and Matrix Revolution came out in 2003. I think they were shot together and came out pretty much back to back, and then there was an 18-year span, and Matrix Resurrections came out in 2021. Okay, and the reality is, I don't think there's anybody in the world you could find that would say that The Matrix is not a phenomenal movie. It was groundbreaking. It had huge world-spanning ideas in it, and it was a work of action and philosophy and science fiction, and had a lot to say about modern technology, and it was just a great film that, kind of continued to skyrocket the amazing career of Keanu Reeves, and it was just really incredible, right? And of course, out of it came this concept of the red pill and the blue pill, and it's saying, hey, do you want to know the truth, or do you want to live in a shrouded world where you just believe what you've been told, and you kind of believe the simulation rather than the reality? And boy, does that speak relevance today, right? We have tons of people who are like, oh, I'm comfortable believing this, and the data absolutely disproves what I believe, and I don't, but I'm just comfortable believing this. I trust these sources, and it really doesn't matter what these sources say. I trust these sources, and I don't trust those sources over there, so I'm just going to make my own little shrouded simulation world and believe what I want to believe, and believe, rather than believe what is reality and what is real, right? And so this is so the Matrix is really important, right? Now, the Wachowskis, let's talk about them, right? The Wachowskis made The Matrix, right? They made all 3 of the first films. Only one of the Wachowskis worked on the last film, but the Wachowskis have been connected to every Matrix movie, right? So here's where it gets interesting. So one of the biggest concept to come out of the Matrix was red pill, blue pill, right? Well, the thing is, as a creator, you have the right, as an artistic creator, and you are doing that as a dungeon master, you have the right to present what you believe, right? So you create your story and you put it down, right? And you put it in front of the experiencers. Now, let's just talk about artists right now, right? Like artistic creators, like filmmakers, okay? So the Wachowskis had the right to put whatever they wanted in their movie, and they had the right to leave out whatever they wanted in the movies, and they have the right to present that to the public, okay? Now, here's what happened, okay? they presented a red pill, blue pill situation. Now in America, where they released their films, the Wachowskis were very aware that we have red politics and blue politics, right? Blue aligns with Democrats, red aligns with Republicans, and basically, as the years grew, the conservatives, the Republicans, took the red pill, blue pill to say, we know reality, and so that Republicans live in reality and Democrats live in a simulation. They live in a world that they wish was true, but is not true, right? And boy, did the Republicans run with this red pill concept, and it really caught on, and it won the internet, right? Like it really was taken as, if you take the red pill, you believe in a realistic world of harsh realities that the Republicans believe in, and if you believe, and if you take the blue pill, you're thinking, taxing the rich will work, right? And giving people things for free, and they'll still be incented to work, or all these kind of things that are, the Democrats have an incredibly heartfelt position, but it doesn't really resonate with reality for many people. They think, if you choose to believe kind of the comfortable beliefs of the blues, right? Like that, that Democrats are more aligned with science. Here we are in the middle of March 2020. Their embrace of science was supposed to solve a bunch of stuff. Seems like it solved darn near nothing, right? And so there's just what the Democrats believe is a very unicorn future, right? It's just they believe in these very soft things that sound good on a postcard, but don't really turn into reality, and are, and Republicans believe in a harsh reality. We live in a competitive world, and you need to prepare, and you need to be ready to help yourself, and no one's coming to rescue you, all these harsh realities, right? So here's what happened, right? The Wachowskis put forward the red pill, blue pill. The Republicans came forward and grabbed it and said, we are interpreting your art, and we're saying that what this is an analogy for understanding important things in American politics, and this has to do with how you see reality. And we think that Republicans see reality and Democrats see fantasy and believe in fantasy and know they're believing in fantasy and just continue to move forward in a simulationist world, right? So here's the issue, right? So here's how it rolled out. It all happened on Twitter, and this was happening in real time, where the Wachowskis had put forward this idea and put forward their art. But the experiencers of the art, the people who went to see the movie, they said, we control the narrative. We control the interpretation. And boy, are they right. You are the creator. You have the right to put in whatever you want in your art, and then you have the right to keep out whatever you want. But once you give it to the public, they interpret, not you, right? And this came to a harsh, bad, collision, right? Where, so what happened, basically, what happened was, you had, it went like this. Here was the flow, right? It was, Elon Musk saying, take the red pill, right? And then Ivanka Trump came on and said, take it. And then one of the Wachowskis came on to Twitter and said, F both of you, but did not say F, right? And so this was really, pretty incredible, and so basically the Wachowski, one of the Wachowskis was saying, I'm upset with what you're saying, right? And I don't like your interpretation of my art. But this is the thing, right? This is what we as Dungeon Masters need to realize. We have the right to write down whatever we want to bring it into the story, right? We put that in front of the players interact with it and may make decisions going forward, right? And then the dice interpret that. And so what we have is we have a story that we've written, a story that the players have changed and added to or subtracted to or altered, right? And then we have a story where the dice have specifically, especially if you're not a suck dungeon master, ignore dice rolls or fudge, right? If you honor the dice the way Gary meant the dice to be honored, right? then what you end up with is you end up with this story that you have presented to the public, and the interpretation does not belong to you. It belongs to the experiencer. It belongs to the players, right? And the Wachowski, one of the Wachowskis who responded to Elon Musk and to Ivanka Trump didn't understand this, right? And the reality is, it's very important for us to understand as dungeon masters, okay? We make the art, we present the art, we put it on display, we put it into place. The interpretation does not belong to us. It belongs to the experiencer, right? And when we, as dungeon masters, try to usurp interpretation, the way one of the Wachowskis did, and said F you to Elon Musk and F you to Ivanka, they had both seen the material, and they're saying, hey, this is my interpretation, right? Your rights end as a creator. You don't have the right to interpret the story that you put down. That is overstepping, okay? So basically, you as a creator, you're not going to stand for any of your fans walking in and saying into your home, or even you're not going to stand for somebody coming into your space and saying, hey, I know you'd like to have this character do this or that, but I want you to have this character do this or that, right? Your experiencers don't have the right to tell you what to write in your art, right? You as a creator, you as a dungeon master, right? Both artistic creators and dungeon masters have zero right to interpret the art for anyone else. That is the whole purview of the interpreter. And one of the Wachowskis who responded back to Elon Musk and Ivanka Trump forgot this, right? And they showed themselves to be selfish and foolish, right? And so basically, they were saying, I don't know where my rights as a creator end, right? I want to step all over and stomp on your experiencer, your experiencer purview, and tell you how to understand what I created. And that is not how art works. And guess what? That is if you are ever allowing a creator to get away with that, that is fundamentally bad art, right? Like they're saying, I create and I interpret. Well, what is the point of the experiencer? So the Wachowski responded back to Elon Musk and to Ivanka Trump, fundamentally doesn't understand this, right? But you can understand it. You create your story, you write your story, you put it in front of the players. I mean, guess what? You respect the players their right to interpret, right? And you don't need to blow sunshine up their butt, to say, oh, you did a great job interpreting what I... In fact, the best response as a creator is silence. Let the experiencers do their part, right? And let them put forward to the world, this means this, right? You create, you present, and guess what? You know what your job is to do? Create and present again, rather than going back and trying to jump into the role of the experiencer and do the interpretation for them. Why don't you just shut your mouth, right? And then create more and let your art speak. The best creators let their art speak, right? And as a dungeon master, this is incredibly important. We cannot step into the role of interpretation and tell players what's happening. We present it, we put it out, and when they say they understand it in XYZ way, do not correct them. It is critically important that we don't Wachowski this situation. All that's my opinion. What do you think? Do you see this distinction? Do you see that your rights as a dungeon master end once you present? You have zero right to interpret your own work. Zero. Do you agree with me there, or do you disagree? And if you disagree, I'd love to hear it. If you agree with me, and you have your own distinct reasons for believing what I believe, I'd love to hear that too. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.